without my men. Really please, Rico Block, and I'm with Pedal Durango. Dave Hagan, Pedal Durango also.
Well, welcome, great to have some new faces here. This morning is Jameson here? I didn't see Jameson come in. We can't shake Jameson off quite yet, our former board chair. Please, when you see Jameson, thank him for the coffee this morning. Here. There is a sign-up sheet for the next several months of coffee sponsors. So if you'd like to sponsor coffee in an upcoming month, please sign up. It's sitting right by the coffee, and we'll give you an opportunity to tell everyone a little bit about your business and share your story. So again, thank Jameson when you have it here. Just a quick update from our last board meeting. Really reaffirmed kind of our strategic plan around a lot of work in housing and how that relationship's evolving. Some of the contract work we have between HOA and others. Really took a look at some economic indicators, which Mike will share. We're just starting our planning for the upcoming year. So relatively light last month. And with that, I'll hand things over to our Executive Director, Mike French, to give an update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
You like a school teacher sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. I'm a teacher. Well, workforce housing, I'll start off there. We have a forum with all of the public partners on February the 23rd for exit issues. Jack, is that correct? It starts at 8 o'clock. That's at the DoubleTree. Jack will talk a little bit more about that today, but I'm excited because we have a lot of people coming together talking about an important issue. What we are not going to talk about is the problem. I think everybody understands it. I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse. What we are going to talk about is how we're addressing that and what the collaboration is amongst the employees. Because I think that there is a change in terms of how we're approaching this, and you'll get to hear more about how really it's in concert and that people are really aligning, and there's quite a bit to address the housing issue. We had a Catalyst Fund meeting last week, so we've been talking about this in earnest for quite a bit. We have $375,000 banked in that Catalyst Fund right now. We have two foundations that we're continuing to ask to contribute to the Catalyst Fund. Chances are, if one or both come in, we can get that Catalyst Fund north of $1 million. So the reason that we have this committee seated now, with the exception of trying to get the funders seated, is that we want to start taking LOIs and applications from the development community by March. And I know that sounds very aggressive because that's only a few weeks from now, but the sense of urgency is there's dollars out there, and if we're not doing our part to get those dollars and start grant writing, we're going to miss the window or the early window. The Prop 123 dollars come out in the fall. We're still in rulemaking right now, but we're going to need that alignment and that multi-jurisdictional approach to really be able to apply for those funds. La Posta, there'll be one more neighborhood meeting in late February. I think Scott's already published the date, and then annexation efforts will start shortly thereafter. So that's the last sort of neighborhood meeting before Scott and team, the community development team, really go after that annexation process in the area. The resiliency grant from the county, we have our second pop-up lab for Network Plus already scheduled. It's going to start February 18th. A little slight shift in what we've done in the past. It will be on a Saturday. Registrations are currently open, and just to remind everybody, it's a Network Plus micro simplification that will go probably 12 weeks. So we're skipping a couple of weeks in between spring break, but it is 100% subsidized by the Alliance through the grant. So anybody that has IT personnel that we want to provide some career development for. Anybody that knows folks that are trying to upskill or reskill their career, this is a great opportunity to go out and get a micro certification. One of the things that we're looking at next is how do we complement that with Security Plus, and that might be something that we look at in the next semester. So we'll have we'll have one more pop-up lab, and this is in partnership with PCC, who's actually handling all the registration, helping us with the facilitator, and FLC, who is doing everything that they can to make this work in this room, providing gear, providing the space. So it's a great program. Internships still available. Everybody's heard the song and dance. We're trying to write you guys checks. The objective there is to get somebody as an intern, but more so job to hire. So please talk to Michelle. We're going to continue to push on that for the next few months, and then that will sunset at the end of this year, going into the fall semester. Grants. It's been a busy week or last couple of weeks for grant writing. There's an Opportunity Now grant that the Alliance was a lead applicant for in partnership with FLC. Really unique opportunity. It's to bring different kind of career development into rural Colorado. So we actually submitted an LOI to see if we are eligible to apply for the grant. The grant would be $2 million. What that would allow us to do is work with industry to figure out what the skills gaps are, both in bringing people in, but as well as mobility within the organization, mid-level management. So far, we did a roundtable with a small subcommittee in industry, and what we heard were the soft skills, fiscal acuity, digital literacy, and leadership were some of the skills that people pointed out. So what do we do about that? If we are recipients of the grant, we will refine that, really understand what the skills gap are in our community per industry, and then develop curriculum. And this curriculum would be our own sort of micro certifications, boot camps, whatever you want to call it, that we bring in not just faculty from maybe FLC, but potentially hire some big name consultants to come in and participate in the facilitation of this class. It would be a multi-year program, so we're really excited about the opportunity to do this. The second grant that we went after was an EDO action grant. That's for economic development organizations. The state does this every year. They look to see how they can help organizations scale. With all the programming that we've been discussing lately, including housing, workforce development, business capacity and growth. Obviously, we do need some capacity, so hopefully we'll get a grant there to help us take somebody an intern that we hired but want to take to full time. So thank Michelle for all the hard work that she's been doing on that. With that, I will turn it back over to Joe. Thank you very much.
It's Mike first. Updates on what we've been up to. So we've got a packed agenda both from a private side and a public side. First, to give us some updates or community. It's a pleasure to welcome Brandon to the community and we'll talk to us today about some updates from this. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Justin.
All righty, good morning, everybody. I'm Brandon Mancini. I am the relatively new Chief Executive Officer at Mercy Hospital. I started October of this past year and absolutely love it. It's been a return to Colorado for me. I spent my whole life really in the Metro Denver area. The past 5 years in Richmond, Virginia. The opportunity presented itself to make my way back to Centura, to Colorado, and it's been fantastic. Most recently, I was with HCA for about 10 years out in Virginia in the Denver market with Health One. But truly just have a passion for building community relationships, and there's no better place than in Southwest Colorado. Started my career as an EMT, so I've gone kind of a unusual track through healthcare, really focusing on the clinical side first, largely service line development, strategy, growth, overall business development, and certainly been over operations most recently, Virginia, large 466-bed hospital, but was regional destination center, and what I've quickly learned here about Mercy is we're the same. So got a few slides here just to share with you in terms of where we stand right now in the community as well as the national and statewide landscape. So this is an image that we've all seen far too many times. Overall shipping industry and impact that it's having on things nationwide. I'm sure a number of you have attended the most recent economic development summit at Fort Lewis a few weeks ago. But I was pleased to see that based on what I was seeing, I feel like this is our field. So come 2023 and beyond, with the shipping industry rebounding and just the overall economic landscape nationwide, I feel that we're getting organized, getting focused, and moving forward. This was a slide that was presented at the economic summit at Fort Lewis College. It really just shows the peaks and valleys through the years, pre-COVID. Overall, this is TEU as a unit of measurement for overall shipping containers on ships. It shows that you can go down in the spring, kind of pick up through the summer, and pick up in the fall. When COVID hit, we kind of went in a tailspin internationally. But fast forward to 2023, the industry is certainly rebounding, and so fortunately, it appears that things will be moving in a positive direction. This obviously has gone hand in hand with the overall labor shortage. The black line there basically shows total number of quits. Red line shows overall number of job openings, really from 2001 through now. Obviously, big spike through COVID. But the slide on the left, I think is really telling because it really shows the total number of multiple job holders. And so within the healthcare industry, Joe and I both see daily how many people work, within hospitals and clinics and other areas that have more than one job. So there's a deficit nationwide of 569,000 people that previously had more than one job, and right now it hasn't rebounded quite the same. So that's something that we're seeing impact the healthcare landscape. So fast forward to Region 9 here. This has strong overlap with our overall service area. Back pre-2010, I've learned we're south of 120,000 people. Fast forward up to 2024, 2025, approaching 140,000 people as we move forward. So certainly large geography that we serve. And when you look here within the industry as a whole, and it's too small to see here, but the top bar there is health services. So within that same region, 11.7% of the job sector is healthcare services. So certainly a large population of the community. Alrighty, so this is information from the Colorado Hospital Association. So it's statewide data. All hospitals that participate with CHA and include information to this. And the most telling factor here is the fact that patients are sicker as they come to the hospital. So an increase by 13.9% in 2019 in overall length of stay. That's attributed to overall higher acuity, as well as COVID factors into that, as well as RSV and a number of other reasons why people present to the hospital. 6.1% decrease in overall discharges in that same time. And when you look at the overall workforce expenses, up 17.4% since 2019. So it's costing hospitals more to run the overall business. When you look at overall commercial mix here in 2019, it's down to 2022. So fewer commercial patients, increase in overall CSP and other plans, increase in overall expenses, and increases in acuity. Within that, all Colorado hospitals have invested more than $1 billion in the healthcare workforce, largely to retain and recruit staff. So remember that 569,000 millions of multiple job holders. There's a number of people that are truly leaving the industry, nearly 30%. And a lot of it is due to just the mental health demand and the impact of COVID. You see 60% of the workforce is experiencing that. So major demands, obviously, statewide. What does that mean in terms of overall labor expenses? So the green bar there shows the difference from 2019 to 2020 in terms of year-over-year change in labor expenses, up 1.6%. Fast forward to 2022, 26.1% year-over-year. Actually, that's 2022 to 2019 overall cost of labor expenses. Discharges still down year-over-year. Patient days and other stat that we look up are slightly up. Length of stay is up significantly, up to 14%. Inpatient surgeries still down year-over-year, 14% compared to 2019. ER visits, while they were down through COVID, down 18%, you're seeing it starting to rebound up 6% now. So people certainly are more comfortable coming back to the ER. But ambulatory surgery, outpatient surgery, while we were down through COVID, 21% statewide, still down 3%. So more and more people coming through the doors, trusting the ERs, people are staying longer. The surgery hasn't quite rebounded the same as it was pre-COVID. All right, quick snapshot here on what our PSA is at Mercy. So PSA, primary service area, is basically 75% of contiguous zip codes for inpatient admissions within the hospital. And so some hospitals, your PSA may span 30, 40 miles within a densely populated area. Ours, while the city of Marin is 20,000 people, it spans to Cortez, goes far south of Farmington, and then up towards Silverton. So collectively, out of all 5 hospitals that are within the service area, we have 57.2% market share. You guys, I'm sure all know, standard 5-year growth stats. I've seen this that's anywhere from 1.9 to 2.1% nationwide in terms of what you typically see an average for 5-year growth. We have 3.6% growth here for this service area. Just shows obviously all the growth regionally. And so within this population that we serve is about 192,000. And so that 60-mile radius that we see is really the same with Fort Collins to Colorado Springs. So for a number of your businesses, it's very similar as well to, but it's certainly an expansive territory in terms of geography. This is the biggest stat that I've noticed. So back in our previous fiscal year, 75.9% of that primary service area here stayed within our region. Of the patients that would travel out statewide, you think the number of people would go up to Grand Junction for care. It's relatively flat year over year. You go up to Colorado Springs, up 30 basis points to 6.2%. The biggest change over the course of the 2 fiscal years is more people traveling up to Denver for their care. So up about 150 basis points from 13.7% to 15.2%. And it's the community perception of the services that we have available. So we don't offer bone marrow transplant, open heart, some other high-end services. The people are traveling out for total joints and OB and other services. So that's the biggest challenge that I see as we move forward at Mercy is how can we continue to improve community perception and remind all of the care that we have in the community. Joe and I have connected and we agree we need to do everything we can to remind people of the great care that we have between our 2 hospitals here in Durango. This is a pretty interesting story here. Primary care, Dr. Sarah Goodpaster, our medical director, put this together. I asked that we kind of show the major challenges that we have in the primary care landscape between both physicians and APPs, EMR burden, overall healthcare economics, prior authorizations. A lot of the information that I shared on the slide. Well, fast forward now, they built a concept called a teamlet concept where you have physician and APP, so a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner, 2 MAs, 0.5 FTE of a nurse, but factoring in diabetes education, behavioral health, nurse practitioner, and pharmacist. And what this team concept has done is it's led to a fast increase in solidifying our primary care base. So pleased to share that over the course of the past 2 years, we have a full complement of primary care providers in all 3 locations that we have here. To the point right now that with these 3 locations, we're talking about expansion, adding a 4th location. So whether we go north, Durango, or another office, it's a big focus for us. And we're launching new programs as well. To come out with Upper Pine Rescue, where they'll bring patients that don't need ER admission, patients that they call 911. You see the primary care office, we're doing that in our location. So awesome team here, and it's through that team model that have brought us to this point here. Overall average days for a new patient appointment, shame to admit, back in 2021, it was 8 days. Fast forward down to November 2020, it's currently anywhere to 12 to 8 days. And you can see one of our new providers, these will be there within 48 hours. So great to see that we solidified our primary care base. The other good story that we have is cardiology. So I think while it's been challenged at times in the past for Mercy, the goal was to have 9 total providers. Doctors Andrew Carter and Matt Smolin. We're to a point right now that by the end of the spring here, early summer, we'll be at 8 of those 9 total providers. And I'm looking at that to say, I don't think it's going to be enough. We need to increase it to 11 next year. So Dr. Jabber Fool just joined our team. This is his dog, Luca. He's thrilled to be here. A number of people I've spoken with really have enjoyed seeing Dr. Raful. He's an interventional cardiologist. And then Hafi is a physician assistant that has also joined us. She grew up working Stephen's in Durango, trained doing open heart cases up in Colorado Springs, has made it back to our Southwest community here just because she loves it so much in Durango. So thrilled to have her. Doctors Reamer and Converse are 2 general cardiologists who will be starting with us here over the course of the next few months. To show some of the other areas that we're focusing in. So GI, we've restructured our procedure block. People were doing anywhere from 2 to 3 months to have some procedures done. Now we're going to be running 2 rooms 5 days a week. We have 2 additional candidates that will likely be joining our team here within the course of the year. We have no waiting neurology, so we're looking at overall interventional neurology and how else we can enhance those services. We just signed a new neurologist who will be starting with us in July, and we've got another candidate that we're talking to as well. So neurology, well, it's been an area of opportunity for us. Next year, that'll be one of the story. We had a very strong medical oncology candidate that we met with over the course of the last couple of weeks, and we're talking to 2 other people. So even in the past, specialty care has been a focus for Mercy. I think we're pointed in a good direction. We've got strong vision, and it's something that I need to work with our team to make sure that we move on this quickly as well. So that's it. Any questions for me? Yes.
What was the 0.5 RN? What did that mean?
So 0.5 RNs per team within primary care. So 1 nurse per each team in the primary care groups that we have.
So I was there with, so 1 nurse or half a nurse?
So a nurse that'll be split between
2. Okay, that's.
Yeah. You have a number of primary care offices. A lot of times you only have MAs, you don't have nurses. And that's
So my dad recently needed an MRI and he has a pacemaker, and it was delayed by several weeks because getting a pacemaker tech in from Albuquerque was hard. So are there any plans to get more techs, like med techs?
Yeah, so you look at overall staffing challenges statewide, the average is about 28% year-over-year turnover for all staff. Nurses are at 26%. Unfortunately, Mercy, our year-over-year turnover is about 10.4%. So we're great on the nursing front. Techs, it's far more challenging. So CT, MR, ultrasound. And so we're in the process of bringing in a few additional travelers, expanding our hours. So we'll start at 6 a.m., go to about 8 or 9 p.m. That'll increase the amount of time as well too. So we know it's an opportunity.
What's your percentage of travelers?
Right now for us, nurses, David's in the room here, this is close to zero, yeah. So nursing travelers here compared to where I was in Richmond and what we see up in the Denver market, far different than what we see elsewhere. And we actually have a waiting list of nurses that are looking to join our team, waiting for part-time and full-time positions to come available. And so we're really fortunate with that. Flip it over to lab techs, phlebotomists, imaging, it's less than 5%, but that's where we see some travelers.
Is there a relationship with the community colleges for a nursing program?
So we're building that right now with Fort Lewis College, and I'd have to check more with the community colleges to see what we have with that. But there's a great, there's only one from Fort Lewis here right now. It's a great model that we've recently stood up where people will actually graduate with a degree from CU. I attended places in Fort Lewis and can become nurses in the course of a few years. Yeah.
We've heard a lot about this impact on pediatrics nationally. And I know several families who kids have been injured and they've had to relocate to Denver, even in the past, 8 months. What's happening with pediatrics?
Sure. So we have a pediatric oncology program here. We work with Billy Fraley and the pediatric group as well too. We will see pediatric patients in our TCU. So on an inpatient side, we provide all services here, but through specialty care, we have an agreement with Children's that will bring specialists in and have telehealth as well. I think you look at the for what you would need to have a full service pediatric hospital, and even with 200,000, you wouldn't have the ability to stand up like pediatric GI, pediatric surgery, pediatric other areas. So that's one area where, unfortunately, we're doing everything we possibly can. So, yeah.
How many docs on your payroll?
Payroll or that participate within the hospital as a whole?
Well, you've got people that are
So
certifications with the hospital, but
yeah,
people
so
that are actually.
overall medical staff, we have about 950 total providers at Mercy. And about 75% of those are employed through business school. Yeah.
Recently went through a plan development amendment, looking at an expansion on a medical office building. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So new medical office building that we're planning on adding to our campus. It's right across the parking lot. So really excited to have new services available. So it'll be an ambulatory surgery center. We basically have outgrown the footprint that we have on the campus. So looking to more grad space as well. All right, I'm over time, but my cards are in the back. Cell phones on the cards. Certainly happy to set time and meet with everybody. So, thank you all.
Thank you. This is Chris Lopez from Florida. It's been a while since you've given us an all-in update, so it's great to have you back. And thanks for sharing.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. So, Chris Lopez with the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, easier just to say CHAFA, not Colorado Health Association. We have an F in our name. So, again, the Colorado Housing and Finance Association, and based here in Hermosa, so live here, and I cover 9 counties and 2 tribes in our region. And so what is CHAFA? Who are we? So a lot of people confuse us with the state. We are a quasi-state agency, but the Division of Housing under the Department of Local Affairs is actually the state housing agency tied to the state budget. So we are not tied to the state budget. We were created in 1973, basically by the General Assembly to address affordable housing. And so how we are a quasi-government agency is that we have 11 members on our board. One of those is the state auditor, one is from the cabinet, one is from the General Assembly, and then the governor does appoint the remaining 8 board members, but we do not take one dime from the taxpayers. So we are fully funded for our investing activities, and we did receive authority to use bond proceeds for economic development in 1982. And to date, We have basically invested almost $30 billion in Colorado since 1973. So who are we? We strengthen Colorado by investing in affordable housing and community development as our mission, with our vision being everyone in Colorado will have the opportunity for housing stability and economic prosperity. So what is our impact in communities? So I kind of think of family views. So number one answer survey says people think of us in the home ownership space. A lot of people, when I bump into them, they say, who is Chafa? What does Chafa do? And I start talking to them, I think I have my home mortgage with you guys. So again, probably the number one area people think of our organization is in their home ownership and mortgage products. So now we do not do the underwriting. We work with over 140 local lenders and mortgage brokers to underwrite the loans that then we work with. We offer the long-term 30-year product for income qualified individuals. We also offer down payment assistance programs as part of that, as well as home buyer education classes with our local partners like Homes Fund here locally that provide those classes here in our region. Second thing people think of Chafa as or know us for is our multifamily products and the low-income housing tax credits. So examples here in the town of Durango would be like the Illumian Apartments on 32nd Avenue, the VOA out in Three Springs, the Sparrow for the Permanent Supportive Housing Project. So that's where then we do multifamily rental space. We also work in the compliance area. So one thing is like, oh, are you with HUD? No, but we do actually administer a HUD contract for those Section 8 compliance and compliance of those HUD Section 8 properties. So we have staff scattered around the state that can make those compliance. What's least known about Chafa is that we do business lending. So there's housing authorities like ours across the country. Most of them are primarily in the housing space. We also do small business lending and financing. With access to capital, we have a laundry list of products and programs available in the small business space. One big area though is like our cash collateral support program, where it's basically, we don't want to compete with local lenders. We're here to work with local lenders. We're not in the business of competing with loans. So if banks locally are unable to give basically loans to a small business due to their collateral, we come in and we can park money at those banks to offer that cash collateral support to allow those banks to make those loans. So again, another partner of ours locally, economic development, very familiar with all of our products. Work for that. So lastly, because we've done so well in our lending activities, one thing again we're the least known for, but we're more known for is our community partnerships programming. So this was formalized a couple of years ago. One of those is myself. Chafa we're a statewide agency based in Denver. About 5 years ago, they said we need people out in community. Everybody just don't know about us. So they started, we've got 5 regional managers like myself. I'm here, we've got one in Meeker, Alamosa, Pueblo, and we just hired our 5th out in Colorado. So basically regional engagement. And we have a number of donations and grants and sponsorships and some technical assistance I'm going to get into a little later. I always just like to show this slide for the housing continuum. Some of you may or may not be aware, but this is just a real high overview of basically when it comes to housing in different area median incomes. You can see it goes all the way from the left with basically people below 30% AMI. That could include the unhoused, transitional housing, their needs in Sparrow, for example, permanent supportive housing. You typically think of the affordable rental housing between 30 to 80% AMI, low-income housing tax credits, basically target 60% and below as an average. Then you have middle-income rental housing, 6120, and homeownership is usually thought of at 50% and up. So quick snapshot on what just last year, this is 2022 alone. So we had $2.3 billion in single-family loans. We invested over $326 million in multifamily programs, $103 million in business loans. So that equates to about almost 6,600 single-family customers, 6,700 multifamily units were created, and 200 jobs involved with small business lending. So I talked about our corporate giving programs and our grant programs. So last year with our corporate giving programs, we had over $5 million in total giving. That included $3.3 million in basically direct grant assistance to nonprofit organizations. Another 1.4 million in regional community investment for us. This includes Montezuma County and the Ute Mountain Ute tribe specifically in our region, not the full 1.4 million, but it's an investment in this region. So 373 organizations supported. We provided over 1,100 hours of technical assistance to nonprofits in the form of system development assistance. And what's really cool about CHAPA is they actually have us do community involvement and data service. So we had over 1,423 hours of community involvement in data service and voluntary nonprofits. Just want to give, just to name a few of who received some of this corporate giving last year. Manna Soup Kitchen for their Community Resource Navigation Center. Compañeros received $5,000 plus Going Places West Side Mobile Park and their La Escuelita. Fort Lewis College Foundation. Of course, we really appreciate working with the Alliance and everything the Alliance does. Southwest Center for Dancing Spirit. So this gives you a sense, like, well, I thought CHAPA just did housing and small business lending. Well, you know, we do a lot of grant making, and you can see kind of the variety of different programs that we funded through our grant making. It's up to $30,000 in the grant request. So I just want to offer some resources here. So when it comes to our direct effect grants, that was sort of the list from the last one. You can ask for up to $30,000. It can go towards basically organizational support, capacity building, a lot of things, programs only. We're happy to say, yeah, here's $15,000 just to support your staff. You know, you need the money for programming and capacity. So round one, this will applications will be due on May 31st. Round two on September 29th. We do anticipate $30 million again this year in our class. Corporate giving, this is a separate basically bucket of money. So we do corporate giving for events, fundraising efforts. So, you know, if you're having your annual meeting, you say, hey, we've got this, you know, funded Brew Fest, but I'm thinking an example of that, like local events, things like that, the nonprofits are doing. That's anytime. We're happy to go up to $5,000 with sponsorships. If you have an event, you have sponsorship levels, just reach out to me. I'm happy to look at it and see if we can consider being a sponsor for your event. I want to point out the Affordable Housing Developers Guide. This is something we developed about 1.5 years ago. It is an incredible tool. Again, I'm happy to give you my email at the end and give you links to any of these resources. This Affordable Housing Developers Guide takes you through all the steps of developing affordable housing, basically understanding what is it you're looking for, who's your team, financing, pro forma. So again, want to point out this guide, happy to give you direct links to that. It's an incredible resource. We currently, as community relationship managers, are basically doing a deep dive into it and doing a little book club so we can it's a robust tool. Proposition 123, everybody's talking about Prop 123. What's going on with Prop 123? So I just have a stay tuned because the most recent news I have is that as of Thursday last week, CHAPA was actually never named legislation or in that initiative. It was actually the Office of Economic Development and International Trade. We did finalize our contract to administer the Prop 123 funds that are going to OEDIT next Thursday. So we are officially now, CHAPA is administering 60% of those Prop 123 dollars, like Mike said, should become available late summer, early fall. Real quick highlight on that, we will be administering 60% of those dollars that come in on an annual basis. The Division of Housing will be administering 40% of those dollars. The 40% that Division of Housing is going to be going, they're going to be focused on the funds that go towards local governments. So local governments will be working with DOH for those funds, as well as a lot of homeless initiatives. CHAPA, the part we're going to be working on is going to include some land banking activities for nonprofits and local governments, equity financing and debt financing. So again, point being, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more coming out on Prop 123, and I imagine as soon as I know anything and when they roll any information out, I'll work with Mike. Happy to also work with you all directly. So where to find me? Again, I'm here. My email is CS, middle initial S as in Sam, so CSLopez@CHAPA, info and I'm happy to share any resources and these with you. So happy to take a couple questions if there's time.
Where's your local office at?
In my house at 224 Amherst Circle. We are looking for a potential office space, so, but it's just myself and I do business cards on me, so.
It's great to have you. Jackie, welcome to the chamber. Give a couple of questions.
I'll make mine quick and brief. First off, congratulations to the men's basketball team last night. Black Hill State, was anybody at the game last night? So, yeah, Black Hill State was really good in the nation. So beat them. They got up there for fire. Real quick, I'm Jack Llewellyn, CEO of the Durango Chamber. I'm going to go through a list of upcoming events that we're just offering right now. We do have our value-based membership investment plan that we've rolled out. If you'd like to learn more about that, it comes with different benefits that we offer, and happy to sit down with anybody and go through the benefits that we offer. We took basically 12 lower level investment plans based on number of employees down to 3. So then we go on from 2,500 and up for the annual investment, but happy to sit down and go through that. Lunch and Learn program coming up on February 22nd. It's the Dance of Leadership, and if you know Ellen Babers, she's with the city now, but she also has a consulting business. She'll be putting that on. The Eggs and Issues, there are flyers on the back table by the pastry, so I know everybody will grab one. We have Mike French with the Economic Alliance, Eva Henson, City of Durango, Kim Baxter with the Regional Housing Alliance, Nicole Killian, Town of Bayfield, Mark Garcia with Ignacio, Marshall Porter Norton with La Plata County. This again is happening from 8 to 10:30 on Thursday the 23rd. We'll be getting updates from the organizations. And moving forward, what's different than what's going on in the past? So that's the main line for coordinating and bringing everybody together to really work on the workforce housing needs that we, workforce housing solutions that we all need. Coffee Connection is March 7th. That's going to be at the Durango Police Department. That's from 8 to 9. So if you haven't been in the very cramped quarters of the police department on 2nd and 10th, plan on coming down to the police department. They might even, put you in a holding cell, and you can see, which I think is a converted closet. So that's again March 7th. Durango Rocks Awards event. So this is when we celebrate the community. It's about the community, citizen, business, small business, entrepreneur, nonprofit, volunteer, all the, I say, of the year awards. That'll be up at the community concert hall from 5 to 8. We also have a city council candidates forum coming up on March 14th. We are partnering with the La Plata Forum that is over at the Doubletree. Starts at 11:30, goes to 1:30. So we'll meet the 5 candidates that are running for city council. Also on the 16th of March, quarterly HR series with DARM. And then we have business after hours also on March 16th up at Hillcrest Golf Course from 5 to 7. It's the first time they've ever hosted a business after hours. On the advocacy piece, the Durango Chamber has come out against the House Bill 23-1118 along with the State Chamber, Colorado Competitive Council, and other local chambers, including also the Colorado Restaurant Association. So if you are not following or tracking that, you have to look at House Bill 1118. I don't think whoever is sponsoring this bill, I don't think they've ever run a business, let alone a restaurant. So there's a lot of language in there that could be very detrimental, especially if you're in the restaurant business. So go to durangobusiness.org for details. That's my auctioneer speech. I'm trying to catch us up.
So the opportunities to get together with the chamber. Next is Bregan Wrinkle from the Community Foundation to give some updates on their giving of last year.
Yeah, thank you.
Space Farm.
Space Park, okay.
get my picture off there as fast as we can. So Mike asked me to come up and just kind of update you on the Community Foundation as well as some of the social impact grants that we're doing in partnership with the county. So that's what I'm going to do today. Basically, the Community Foundation is where we do a lot of our philanthropy. The Community Foundation is a hub of philanthropy for Southwest Colorado, and these are the 5 counties that we serve. We help build and strengthen community, bringing together people and organizations that want to make a difference. This is our annual report this year, and you can see in that report, which is on our website, that we are really building nonprofits. If we can build their capacity and their strength, then we will have a vibrant place to live, work, and play. Ultimately, creating that strong nonprofit creates a great investment for our philanthropists. And so that's what everything that we do, we focus on that. That's what our touch point is that we go back to. We expand the culture of giving. So we develop giving plans for our donors with individuals with donor advised funds as well as SURF. So a lot of people remember SURF during 416 fire and then again during COVID. Here you see here our cause youth influence. So we work with high school students and we pair them with nonprofits. And they get paid a very healthy wage of $22 an hour. They work the month of June and get a lot of experience. And so we love that program. So we, our assets are $14.3 million. It's $7 million in 2 years. One of the reasons that was so big is we had a large bequest, which enabled us to buy our office space, and that's we are across from Durango Natural Foods now. This is the food group, and so I want to spend a minute on the project that we're working with La Plata County on, the social impacts. So La Plata County prioritized social impacts, which really means including but not limited to the youth recovery, the safety net, child care, behavioral health, equity, and job training. And they dedicated $3.5 million to that program that we are helping distribute. So we have selected with the county 13 projects and 20 organizations. So there are projects that range all across the county: affordable local health care insurance or health insurance, a bookmobile for our outlying rural areas in Ignacio, early childhood support, employee wellness and trauma-informed care, language justice and training, local food production and distribution, Pine River Valley food system support, water fill station at the dry side, a water system upgrade for affordable housing development, wraparound services for unsheltered families, wraparound services for unsheltered youth, youth emotional and behavioral support, and youth environmental education and career pathways. And here today, there's a few nonprofits that are part of those projects with us. It is big. We're doing some great work, and a lot of our nonprofits are leveraging other grants to make that 3.5 grow. And we're thinking that by the end of 2024, it'll actually be about 7 or 8 million that's been invested. This just shows you a little bit about our finances. So you can see our growth in the last 10 years. And this other graph talks a little bit about the smaller bars are operating, and then this is our granting, and that's our investment. So for every dollar that we spend with operations, we facilitate $14 in grants. So the impact is huge at the Community Foundation. So we started breaking this out. People just say, oh, it's registered donor advised funds that have all the power at the Community Foundation. And you know what? It's true in a lot of cases. But we, this is our audit numbers from 2021. And the Community Foundation was in charge of facilitating 1.3 million. And then our donor advised funds did 3.9. So that's a pretty big impact into our community. That's 5.3. And it was a big year for us and a great way for us to impact Southwest Colorado. So we're not just La Plata, we're kind of touch on everything. This is a recap of some of our SURF. So $1.2 million in grants to our community over 2 years in relation to SURF. And so you can kind of see the general areas that we gave to. This is all from our community. During 416, we got several grants from foundations on the Front Range. During COVID, it was all local giving. So it's that collective impact. You can put $1,000 and the next person puts $1,000. I'm pretty sure pretty soon it's 1.2. One of the ones that I really love, and for this group being business, we did about a little over $300,000 to food security. What we did is we paid for, we bought the crops pre-growing season so that the farmers had the money they needed to plant, grow, and then take it to the community. And so that was a way to support our local economy as well as the people who were hungry. So this is just really kind of reminding you that we work to maximize the full potential of our region's nonprofits, and we work again to make them an impact investment for our philanthropies, philanthropists. And we do things like the social impact grants for La Plata County, COVID grants for the city of Durango, county impact granting. So we have an impact grant for every single county that we serve, and we've been doing some granting out of those. So in Archuleta, we gave $10,000 to Habitat for Humanity for workforce housing. We do planned giving, and we do full development. In fact, any of you guys who serve on nonprofit boards, we're starting a new board training at the end of March and the first 2 weeks of April. And then we support Southwest Rural Philanthropy Days, which comes around once every 4 years for all 5 counties. And it supports the nonprofits through introducing them to Front Range funders, workshops, as well as networking. That's this year, June 7th through the 9th. So this is Colorado Gives Day, and we are a local champion. And we raised $650,000 last year, which was about $150 more than we raised the year before. So I think A, it's catching on, and B, we've staffed up, and so there's more support at the office for the nonprofits. And we can be a resource for everyone in this room, whether it's helping a local business to support nonprofits, whether it's starting a donor advised fund because you sold a business or inherited money and you've got a tax situation, and that donor advised fund becomes your philanthropy savings account. We can define a giving strategy, share insights about the nonprofit community if you want to make some gifts, but if you're not sure who's making one. This is our biggest event. We did it for the first time last year, the Durango Wine Experience. It's really fun. It's April 20th and 29th. We use this as an opportunity for the community to get together, to visit, to reconnect. Since we've taken over the event, we now have a grant. So we'll select 10 nonprofits that will do our volunteer days. They'll be at the walkabout in the grand tasting, and they receive a grant for doing that, and also exposure to a lot of people who are in the community who you might be able to get to be on the boards or be philanthropists for them or donors. And this is the other big community event that we do, Making a Difference. We did not do it last year as we were recovering from some of our COVID work, but these are some of our speakers. And we have a robust committee working on this, and so I think you'll be pleasantly surprised who ends up being our fall speaker. And then this is our staff. We've grown from 3, and we actually just hired a new person. So we have 4 full-time people in the office and 2 part-time. And we are here to serve not only the nonprofits, but also people who want to give back to the community, whether you want to talk about what board to be on, what nonprofits might need some help, or how you can get involved to impact the community. So, thank you.
Thanks for all the work you're doing. Maybe over just a few minutes, we've got some updates from our public sector partners. So
Hostess Mayor Clark Price.
I'm good, thanks.
I'm just gonna stand up right here, but one thing I want to talk about is our east intersection. Myself and my board understand how important this intersection is to our community with development opportunities on either side of that. So we are hosting an open house on March 1st from 5:30 to 7 at our senior center. We'll specifically talk about our grant funding opportunities for that and also the specific tie-in off of Oak Drive. So there's 4 different conceptual models and they all have their pros and cons, but either one of them is gonna vastly change our layout of our town. So if anybody's interested in that, March 1st.
Good morning, everyone. Les Stevens, I'm the county manager for LaPlata County. I'm filling in for Commissioner Salka. Again, today, I was asked to present on 2 topics. The first was the formation of the Board of Health. I think all of you are aware that the San Juan Basin Public Health District, by joint resolution with Archuleta County, is being dissolved. So that resolution happened in November, and that entity will dissolve effective December 31st of this year, 2023. So both counties are standing up their health entities, whatever that looks like for each county. In LaPlata County, we were standing up a health department. The Board of County Commissioners interviewed for membership on that board. They ultimately selected 7, so it's a board of 7, and they had their first meeting last Tuesday. So they came together for the very first time last Tuesday. Their next meeting is on February 23rd. Right now, they're focused on governance. So getting the foundation built and the structure for what that board is going to look like and how they're going to operate. The meeting on the 23rd, they'll have at least 2 decision items. One will be establishing bylaws for that board, and then also an MOU with the county for the services that we are offering to provide for them. So that's the Board of Health. And then the second item I was asked to update you on was the radar, and I love talking about the radar because it's been a very long time coming. I'm so happy to say that we actually had a site visit with our vendor. The vendor is Barron Weather Systems. They're out of Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, I think, where Space Camp is. And they do weather radar systems internationally. They just finished an installation at an airport in Florida. So we were incredibly impressed with them when we had our first meeting, our kickoff meeting, and then the site visit, because they completely understand FAA regulations and they know all of the requirements that Tony Vicari was very interested in. As we're going to build a tower, any vertical construction at an airport makes the operations manager of the airport very nervous. So I think he was relieved that they had just done an installation at an airport in Florida. We're working, the city and the county IT departments are working with the airport to establish the fiber path so we can get fiber to that. County staff is currently working on the application to get 3-phase power extended from the airport over to the site. The site is going to be at the existing cell phone waiting lot. It's going to be on the north end of that parking lot, so that the parking lot itself will still be able to be used, but at the north end, there's going to be a golf ball and a tower, about 75-foot tower, I think it's going to be. Here, hopefully by March 24, that's the period of performance for the contract. The vendor thinks that they can get it done by fall. So they're shooting for November. Of course, we all know there's supply chain issues and some skilled labor shortages that may delay that. So those are the 2 things I was asked to update you on. However, as I was mingling here before, a lot of you grabbed me and asked about the planning department, so I'll just take a minute. We are so fortunate that Kevin Hall was available and willing to step in and act as our interim community development director. So he is doing that. He started the first week of January. He's made it very clear to me that this is an interim basis only. He's not interested in the position full time. So he's going to stay through the end of April and see where we are. He's agreed to reassess at the end of April. We are using an executive recruiting firm to conduct that search. That is underway. I don't have a number of qualified applicants. A couple of you have asked me that already this morning. I don't have visibility on that right now. That process is ongoing. We are under contract with a consultant who's assisting us with some of the more routine planning projects. And then we did hire some temporary staff to come in and help with intake at our front desk. We are currently advertising for, I think, 3 positions, a planning tech, a planner 1, and a planner 2. So those are all open advertisements, and I think they close this week. So I think the planning department is on a good trajectory, and I'll stop there. Yes, Mayor.
Chapter 90.
Sure. Yep, that is correct. So Chapter 90, version 2, the red line version of the draft was released last Tuesday. And next week on the 23rd, that will go before the Planning Commission. So there's been, I can't even tell you how many public engagements and a lot of public comment on that, a lot of meetings, a lot of work sessions, a lot of great feedback from industry and from the community on that. So we're very proud of the second version that incorporated a lot of that feedback, and that's going to go forward to the Planning Commission next Thursday, the 23rd, and that's an evening meeting at 6. All right, thank you.
Hi, Dexter, Durango City Council. I just wanted to talk about, Mike said, let's not describe the problem of housing, let's do something about it. So I want to describe a couple of things that we're doing about it. The city has a multitude of public-private housing partnerships that we're advocating. We're working with Three Springs on Village 2 and an infrastructure partnership so that development of Village 2 can go forward and include workforce housing. We're also working with Durango Crossings Partners LLC on a housing partnership at the corner of Florida and 250 and 251, so it would be a four-way stoplight. It will also include approximately 50% ownership and 50% workforce housing development there. The city is contributing our land bank land to that project in order to make that happen. The third thing is the Fair Share program, which I think anybody who's involved in building knows about. We have a requirement that if you're building a certain number of units, you have to provide 16% for affordable housing or pay fee in lieu. And we've realized that that program does not achieve the goals that we would like to achieve. So we received a grant for $120,000 to redo the Fair Share program. We put that out to bid twice, received no respondents, but Root Policy has stepped up to do that with us. So we're very, very excited about that. And I just wanted to let you all know about that. So thank you.
That wraps us up for the day. Thanks for staying for a few extra minutes and solving.
Nice to see you. Good to see you already.